Hi, I'm Daniel Shanahan with New Leaf Data, and this is the second video in a series where I'm changing a layout and some scripts, and so this is part of a script FileMaker with me. This is the second video. The first video, if you haven't seen the first video, stop this one and watch that. Otherwise you'll be lost. I'm going to pick up where I left off in that first video, and so let's continue on with this. This is FM Task. This is a product that I'm developing, and even though it says copyright 2018, it's now 2020. I haven't released it yet, so that's going to happen soon. And so I'm working on the file. I haven't worked on the file in about 1.5 years, and so I'm coming back to it and finding out there are some things that I don't like about it. One of the things I don't like is how I designed this message feature. I'm logged in as Patsy, and Patsy has 5 messages, and I click on here, and here are the messages. And I think there's a better way to do that, and I described that in the first video. Let's take a look at what I want to build. This is a low-fidelity mock-up of how I want to change what's currently on there for messages. I want to have the name of the task. I want to have the message in the task or some description. One of the things I didn't put in here is who created the task, so I'll probably add that. And then I want to have a checkbox or a tick box that lets so the user can click that, and then it gets removed from that list. I won't need to make many changes to this. This is on the task list, and the only thing really on this particular layout that's unique to messages is this icon and the number here. So I won't need to do very much with this layout except remove those. I'm not going to remove them just yet. This is all based on the task table. But what I want to do is I want to base it on a different table. Let's take a look at the task card, this card window, and we can see this portal, where this portal is, what table this portal is pulling from. Here's the card window. I'm in layout mode, and we could see that the portal is from the activity log. So what I want to do is create another list view based on the activity log table. To create this new layout, I do have some templates up here, and I could easily use this list template, but as it turns out, I've done some changes in the list, in these layouts here. These are also list layouts, and I've done some changes here. So really these are not quite as up to date as I would like. So what I'm going to do is make a duplicate of the company layout and change that over to activity log. There, that's part of my naming convention. Okay, so now I can open that up, and everything else should be, the header and the footer should all be the same. So now what I want to do is start to build out this. Let's take a look at the relationship graph. We know that this layout is now built on the activity table. We could see that here. Activity log, sorry, that's right here. We don't need this. Activity log here. And so I want to start filling out those fields, but those fields are going to come from the task table. And you can see there's a number of task tables. So let's find out which one we want. I use a unified design for my relationship graphs. I do not use Anchor Buoy. Anchor Buoy is the most popular relationship graph design. I don't use it. I don't like it. I think it has far too many table occurrences, and I have, over the years, been drawn toward this, more of a unified graph. It can be a little bit complex to understand if you're not used to it, and if you're used to just doing Anchor Buoy, then this can get a little bit could take a little time to get used to. But these are all the table occurrences. That's one off screen, but these are all the table occurrences really. Let's just get that other one off and on screen. So I think they're really easy to look at. These are my base tables, the blue ones. And so right away I can look at all of these blues. Here's the activity log. That's the one we're basing this layout. And I can look at those very quickly and see where we are at. There's also the benefit of bidirectionality. I don't want to get into that a whole lot, but I recognize that this is different than what you might be used to. Here's our activity log, and we see we have a relationship here with the task, so we're going to go right to the task base table. That's all we needed to know. I'll discard those changes. And let's see, I want to go task, and I want the task name. Now I want to have the content of the message. I want to take a look at this. Here's the activity log. So those are coming from the notes. And really this other stuff would be useful too. Let me just copy those. Put those in here. I can work with those a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Good. So here are the comments. Here's the, of course, we don't have a header up here, so we need to know what we're looking at. So I know that that's the task name and the message and who created the message. Good. Now we're going to if I click on that, that's going to be a button, and that's not going to work. I think the context is wrong, so I'm going to get that button out of there. Okay, so that's better. And I have some arrow keys set up to work for that. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. The other thing that I'd like to do is have this tick box over here. A couple of things. Well, let's see. We have a number of things to do. First of all, we're not on company. Second of all, we need a header here to know a column header. And then I need a tick box. Let me change this a little bit here. I'm going to change, it says messages. I'm going to change this to something else. I'm going to change it to alerts. And I want a different icon for the alerts. Typically that's a bell icon. So let me see if I can find that. I didn't find a bell icon in the stock icons that FileMaker provides. And so I went to flaticon.com. I have a subscription to this site. This is my go-to site for icons, and I'm going to choose this alarm bell. I'll download it as an SVG. I have an SVG of that icon. What I had to do in the past when I downloaded an SVG is I had to open it up in a text editor and make sure that it was compatible with FileMaker and ready to upload. Usually what I would do is just upload it, see if it failed, and then make the changes. Geist Interactive, Todd Geist, many people would know Todd Geist from the FileMaker community, has created this along with Louis DePara. I'm not sure who all was involved in this project, but this is fmsvg.com. This is a fantastic site. I use it often. I'm grateful for everybody involved in making that. It's really, really easy. So what I'm going to do is drag my file there, and I'll save it, and now it's ready to upload into FileMaker. It's fantastic. Let's get our new icon in there. Okay, we have alerts. I'm going to change this to, this is a solid one. Maybe I'll use the same icon. But a little bit later, I'm going to change this messages, and I'll change that to alerts as well. But anyway, so that's good. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to put some headers in here so that I know what my columns are. Notice that not every layout has headers. I probably thought at the time that some of the data was so self-explanatory it didn't need it. On the company layout, I think I'm only listing the company, and it seemed to me that it didn't need a header. I could go back and forth with that on consistency or utility. Apparently, I erred on the side of utility. So when I copied the company layout, it didn't have a header. The project has a header. I didn't choose that. I didn't want to get rid of all, I have all these sub-summaries too, so I was trying to avoid that. But I have the header here, so what I want to do now is I want to make sure, okay, so I know it's a header and I know it is 30 points high. So that's what I want to do here. I'm going to create a header. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, I wonder if that's a header here. That's a header. And let me go back. I have a header here that I put this drop shadow in, and that gives us what I think is sort of a nice 3D design. But that means I already used a header. So let me go back to project. I wonder if that's that must be in there. So, oh, I wonder. Oh, I bet I designed it that way. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, it's not an object, it's part of that. Ah, that's okay. So I think that's interesting. Sometimes you get a little surprised if you haven't. I get surprised by some of the stuff that happens that I did previously and I wasn't aware of. But that's going to drop that shadow down. I wonder if I'm there. Yeah. Huh. What? I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so let me just grab that so I know that I have the right style. Oh, you know what else I want to do is well, let me put it in here. Project, and that's going to be it. But I want to know. I want this to be consistent too. Where is it? And let me bring this over. So this is 58 points to the left, and that's 58 points to the left, and 69 from the top. And oh, that's my alerts. That's not what I want. I want to know on my project, so it won't quite work, but on my project I am 58 and then 79 from the top. So I want this to be 79 from the top because I want that to be consistent. And I don't know if because of the sub-summaries, so now I have to do a little bit of math. What I'm guessing is that this is 239 points from the top, and this is 244 points from the top. So that tells me that that's all consistent. That's 5 points from the top, and so that's what I'm looking for here. So that's 95. So that should be 100. Good. Okay. So that should be consistent with all the other layouts. And so let me fill in these alerts message. I'll just keep this as notes because it could be any number of things. I don't need it that long. Good. Okay, so that's my alerts page. Good. We have a header. We have a header. It says message, and I changed it. The low fidelity. I am not tied to the low fidelity mockup. It's just a quick way for me to see what I want to build. So I changed that to notes on the fly. That's fine. I added the creator. I didn't have that before in the mockup. Now I want the viewed. I also want to be able to filter through these things, so I need to do that yet too. But let's take a look at this viewed. What I want is a tick box on this alerts page, and I don't have one. So to do that, what I'm going to do is create a Boolean. Okay, so I have that. It's always good to have notes in here. You usually have notes. You don't need notes for everything, but I like to have them for certain fields. Let's see, here's how I'm going to create a Boolean. I want all of these, the default is 0, so it means they haven't been viewed. That's going to be an empty tick box. And I want any new activity log to be marked as not viewed. So that's going to alert the user to go in and view that, and it will stay unviewed. Even if they've read it, it will stay unviewed until that person ticks the box. But now what we need to do is create a Boolean. FileMaker doesn't have a Boolean data type. So that would fall in here, a data type. It would be a Boolean. It would be true or false. Like, well, just lots of languages. I think almost all languages have them. Let's see. So I'm going to create my own. And if I tell this field that it's going to be a 1 or a 0. Let's see. Okay. I'm kind of thinking too fast here, but I could grab it over on the side where I said viewed. Sometimes I just copy things and get rid of that, but I'm going to bring this one over. Viewed, and then yeah, that's good. Okay, let's see. Let me copy that over here. I'll just say okay. Now that's going to be a 1 or 0 over here. This is just for the video, for the display. I'll do something here and then show you what I'm doing. I want to create that as a checkbox. I don't like the X's, I like the checks, and I want this to be from 1. I don't want it to, I have a 1 or 0. I don't want to use that. You might think I'd want to use a 1 or a 0 with a Boolean field. I don't. I want to have just the 1, and I'll show you why here. I'm going to, so now what we have is we have this 1. I don't want to see the 1, so I need to creatively hide that. And now when I put a new one in here, it will be a 0 because that's a default. But these are existing, so the default field doesn't affect existing data. We wouldn't want it to. But what I can do here, oh, I didn't put that as, it's not browsable. Let me browse it. So now when I click on that, it's a 1. But now when I unclick it, it turns to a 0. So that's what that getIs Boolean self is going to do, is I could click on all those. Now I have my zeros. Okay, I really don't need to see that. And now this viewed is lined up left with that, but it doesn't really work with a tick box or a checkbox. It needs to be a little bit more centered, in my opinion. And I just eyeballed that. This might have been a better way to do it, but I just eyeballed it. It looks okay to me. And good. Let's take a look at, so now we have that. Now let's take a look at the filters. I'm going to do 2 more things. I need to change this messages to alerts, and I want to put, shucks, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that at all. I think I have that as 30 in my, it's a little bit off screen. But I think I want to put I think I want to make that, what if I made that 75? That brings that down. Now I want to put a button bar up here. And the button bar, Get me new messages and viewed messages. I don't know exactly what I want those to look like yet. I want to have an icon here. I want to have an image here of a filter. I want a filter image here, and I went over to flaticon.com and I found and downloaded a filter PNG. I just need a simple PNG here. So I'm going to go over to Insert and Picture and grab that filter. And do a real basic resize. Okay, so that's my filter. Now, now obviously I don't want it to look like this. I don't know what I have. That's a default. So I'm just going to look through these and see if any of these strike me. This is a little bit more about the design. I don't think I'm going to do this on camera, so I don't really like any of these for this design. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I'm not going to design it on screen, so I'll change that. Let's do one last thing, and that is for this messages. Just change that. So it's as easy as that. I already had that SVG, and I'll change that to alerts. So what I have to do now is, I don't really like this part about FileMaker, but there's no universal header. So everywhere I go, everywhere I have to do this in all of my layouts. So I'll do that off screen. The next thing we'll do, and what we'll do in the next video then, is we'll go into the scripting. What happens when you press this button? That'll be one set of scripts. Let me close that. What happens when you press these buttons? That'll be another set of scripts. And then notice too that when we're looking at this, I'm logged in as Patsy, but I see an @mention for Hakeem. I don't want to see that. So how can we fix it so that when Patsy comes to this list, it's only things either @mentions for her or messages on which she's a team member? And we'll take a look at that for scripts. And then hopefully when we come back for the next video, I'll have this designed a little nicer. That's it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified of the next video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thanks.